Why life rewards those who trust more and try less. Have you ever noticed that the harder you try to force something, the more it seems to resist you? You push, and life pushes back. You plan, and reality laughs. You grip tighter, and the thing you want slips through your fingers like sand. And yet, strangely, when you let go, when you stop obsessing, stop trying to control every outcome, when you finally exhale and surrender, things start to fall into place. Opportunities appear. People show up, timing aligns. It feels like magic, but it's not. It's something deeper, something ancient, something that philosophers and mystics have tried to explain for centuries. It's the paradox of effort and trust. And it's at the heart of this truth: life rewards those who trust more and try less. Now, let's be clear. This isn't about laziness. It's not about apathy or passivity or abandoning ambition. It's about alignment. It's about the difference between action rooted in fear and action rooted in trust. Most of us try so hard because we're afraid of missing out, of falling behind, of being forgotten or unloved or unseen. So we overthink, overwork, overcompensate. We try to control the uncontrollable. We micromanage the universe, and in doing so, we disconnect from the natural flow of life, the rhythm that already knows where we're meant to go and how to get us there.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
Think of a river. When you float with it, you move effortlessly. When you fight it, you drown. The river doesn't need you to steer it. It carries you. Life is like that too, but there's a current, a flow. Call it intuition, call it divine timing, call it the unconscious or the Tao or the innate intelligence of the cosmos. But it exists, and the more you trust it, the more it responds. Trust is not weakness. It's wisdom. It's the wisdom that says, I don't have to know everything. I don't have to control everything. I just have to be present, to listen, to move when it's time and to rest when it's not. But here's the hard part: trust requires you to surrender your ego's illusion of control. It requires you to be okay with not knowing, and that's terrifying, because we've been taught that control equals safety, and that effort equals worth, that hustle equals success. But what if that equation is broken? What if the constant trying is actually what's blocking what you want? What if every time you say, I have to make this happen, you're actually telling life that you don't believe it can happen without your struggle? This is where philosophy meets real life. The Stoics knew this. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we must accept whatever comes woven in the pattern of your destiny. The Taoists knew this. Lao Tzu said, nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. Even modern psychology is catching up. Flow states, peak performance, creative breakthroughs, they all happen not when we're trying harder, but when we're relaxed, when we're present, when we trust. So here's a question for you. What are you trying too hard to control right now? What are you gripping so tightly that it's actually slipping away? Is it a relationship? A goal? A version of yourself you think you need to become? What if the very act of trying is pushing it further away? What if letting go just a little would allow it to come to you? It's easy to dismiss this as wishful thinking. We live in a world that rewards hustle, that glorifies burnout, that tells us we have to earn everything with blood, sweat, and tears. But look closer. Really look. The most magical moments in life, the serendipities, the synchronicities, the right place, right time encounters, they don't come from effort. They come from alignment. They come when you're being, not forcing, and when you're open, not desperate. When you're in tune with the moment, not trying to wrestle it into submission. Trust is not the absence of action. It's the presence of faith. It's acting from a place of inner knowing, not outer pressure. It's taking steps because they feel right, not because you're afraid of what will happen if you don't. And ironically, the more you trust, the less you need to try, because the right people, the right paths, the right possibilities begin to reveal themselves. And you move, not with panic, but with power. Not with urgency, but with ease. So ask yourself again, where are you forcing life? And what would it feel like to stop trying so hard and start trusting just a little more? The science of surrender, why flow states replace force and create results beyond logic. There's a moment that every creator, athlete, artist, or visionary knows well. It's that moment when time disappears, thoughts slow down, or vanish altogether. Actions feel effortless. You're not thinking, you're being. The right words just come. The right move just happens. And the right solution unfolds like it was always there. This is what psychologists call a flow state. But it's not just a mental phenomenon, it's a glimpse into a deeper truth about life itself. When you stop forcing and start surrendering, you unlock something far greater than anything effort alone could produce. The flow states are fascinating not just because of what they feel like, but because of what they do. Neuroscientists have found that during flow, the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for self-criticism, doubt, and over-analysis, actually shuts down. It's called transient hyperfrontality. That means your inner saboteur, the voice that tells you you're not good enough or you have to try harder, literally goes offline. Your brain stops trying to control everything and begins to allow. And in that allowing, genius happens. Athletes perform at levels they've never trained for. Writers produce their most inspired work. Innovators connect dots they didn't even know existed. And none of it comes from effort. It comes from surrender. But here's the key. You can't try to enter a flow state. You can't schedule it, force it, or hack your way in. Flow is a byproduct of trust, not total inaction, but aligned action. It's what happens when your skills meet the challenge and your mind isn't cluttered with fear or self-doubt. It's what happens when you've done the groundwork, but then you let go. You let the unconscious take over. You get out of your own way. That's why trying too hard actually blocks flow. The more you force, the more tension you introduce. And tension is the enemy of creativity, clarity, and connection. Carl Jung hinted at this long before neuroscience caught up. He described the unconscious as a vast ocean of potential and the conscious mind as a small boat floating on its surface. When we try to control everything from the boat, we limit ourselves to what the ego can grasp. But when we trust what's beneath the surface, when we allow the deeper intelligence of the psyche to speak, we access a wisdom far beyond logic. We tap into archetypes, symbols, instincts, and synchronicities that seem to come from nowhere, yet feel undeniably right. So how do we live more from this space? How do we stop forcing and start flowing? It begins with presence. You can't flow in the future. You can't surrender while worrying about outcomes. You have to be here. You have to listen. You have to feel. And that's scary because presence demands vulnerability. It requires you to stop controlling the narrative and simply meet life as it is. But that's also where the magic is. Because when you're truly present, you're no longer reacting out of fear, you're responding out of truth. And that response is always more powerful than any plan you could make. Let me ask you something deeply personal. How much of your life has been driven by fear disguised as ambition? How many of your goals are actually escape plans, ways to avoid failure, rejection, insignificance? And what if the real power lies not in escaping those feelings, but in facing them and then choosing to trust anyway? What if the next level of your life doesn't require more effort, but more surrender? This is not about giving up. It's about giving in to the moment, to the inner voice, to the rhythm of life that is already trying to guide you. And when you do, you'll start to notice something strange. Things begin to align. People show up. Ideas connect. Doors open. Not because you forced them, but because you stopped blocking them. You stepped into the current. You flowed. The hidden cost of control, why forcing life blocks the very things we want most. Control feels safe. It feels powerful. It gives us the illusion that we're steering the ship, that we're making things happen, that as long as we work harder, think faster, and never let go, we'll arrive exactly where we want to go. But the truth is, control is often a mask for fear. It's the armor we wear when we don't trust life to support us. And paradoxically, the more we try to control life, the more disconnected we become from its natural intelligence. We think we're gaining power, but we're actually cutting ourselves off from the very current that could carry us to everything we desire. The hidden cost of control is that it blocks flow, it blocks joy, and it blocks the deeper connection we crave, not just with others, but with ourselves. We don't control the seasons, the tides, or the heartbeat in our chest. And yet we try to control the timing of our success, the behavior of the people we love, the unfolding of our journey. We white-knuckle our way through life, gripping outcomes as if they owe us certainty. But life isn't a machine. It's an organism. It breathes. It shifts. It responds not to demand, but to rhythm. And when we try to force it into submission, we break that rhythm. We create resistance. And that resistance shows up as exhaustion, disillusionment, anxiety, and eventually burnout. We're not failing because we're not doing enough. We're failing because we're doing too much from the wrong place. Think about the moments in your life when you tried the hardest. When you planned every detail, controlled every variable, chased every opportunity. Did it feel light? Did it feel aligned? Probably not. It felt like weight, pressure, constant tension. Now think about the moments when things just clicked. When you didn't have to chase. When the right person called, the right idea landed, the right door opened. Those moments didn't come from effort. They came from energy, from trust, from alignment. And that's the real tragedy of control. It blinds us to the truth that life already wants to help us. But we're too busy trying to force it to notice. Control also kills creativity. When you're obsessed with how something should go, you miss how it could go. You miss the detour that might lead to the breakthrough. You miss the silence where the insight lives. You miss the signals, the synchronicities, the subtle invitations that only show up when you're open. Control narrows your vision. trust expands it. And that expansion is where possibility lives. So ask yourself now, where are you gripping too tightly? Where are you forcing an outcome because you're afraid of what might happen if you don't? What's the cost of that control? Not just in time or energy, but in peace, in presence, in potential. And what would it look like to loosen your grip, to breathe, to let life meet you halfway? Trust doesn't mean passivity. It means partnership with life, with the unknown, with your own inner wisdom. It means showing up fully, but not with desperation, with devotion. It means planting the seed, watering it, and then allowing the sun, the soil, and time to do their part. You can't yank a flower out of the ground to make it grow faster. You can't force a relationship into maturity. You can't rush your own evolution. And every time you try, you pay with a piece of your presence. The greatest irony is this: the very things we think control will give us peace, success, certainty can only be accessed through surrender. Only when we stop trying to direct every wave do we realize we were always being carried. Life is not against us. It's not testing us. It's inviting us. But it can't reach us when we're clenched. It meets us when we soften, when we open, when we trust. Living in the mystery, how trust transforms uncertainty into power. We fear the unknown because we've been taught that certainty equals safety. That if we can just predict what's next, we'll be okay. And so we plan, strategize, and overthink. But life in its most honest form is mystery. No matter how much we plan, we never truly know what's coming tomorrow. The future is a blank canvas, not a contract. And this is where trust reveals its deepest power, not in giving us control over the future, but in teaching us how to live without needing it. When you trust life, you stop needing answers before you move. You begin to realize that not knowing is not a weakness, it's the birthplace of all potential. Think about it. Every great story, invention, or transformation began with uncertainty. The moment before the leap, the pause before the insight, and the silence before the music. It's in that space, the unknown, where creativity lives, where growth happens, and where you meet parts of yourself that you never knew existed. Most of us live in resistance to this space. We fill it with distractions, with plans, with noise. But the ones who learn to stay, who learn to trust in the not knowing, tap into a quiet strength that can't be faked. They become resilient not because they have all the answers, but because they've made peace with not having them. They trust that even if they don't see the path will reveal itself one step at a time. This doesn't mean life becomes easy. It means you face difficulty differently. You stop seeing setbacks as punishments and start seeing them as redirections. You stop panicking when plans fall apart and start listening for what life is trying to tell you. That kind of trust turns chaos into clarity. It turns delay into preparation. It turns the unknown into a sacred space of becoming. So, ask yourself, can you sit in the unknown without trying to escape it? Can you be in the middle of the question without rushing to the answer? Can you let go of needing to know and still move forward with your heart open? That's the practice. That's the power. When you live in trust, you become available to life in a way most people aren't. You begin to notice the signals, the whispers, the delicate nudges that guide you not from fear, but from wisdom. You stop chasing what you think you need and start receiving what's truly meant for you. And you realize, often in quiet awe, that life was never about control. It was about collaboration with time, with mystery, with your own unfolding. So maybe the most courageous thing you can do isn't to try harder. It's to trust deeper, to lean into the unknown and say, I don't know what's coming, but I trust myself enough to meet it. And in that choice, life opens. Because in the end, life doesn't reward those who try the hardest. It rewards those who trust the deepest.